I would like to call to order the May 6, 2025 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting. We would like to welcome those in attendance as well as those watching at home and streaming online. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Director Miller, Director Richardson, Director Webb, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Lewis, Director Campuris, Director Phillips, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Wyrick, Mayor Scott.
Present. We'll now have City Attorney give the invocation.
Please join me. There have been many times when we have awakened in the morning and we've been excited about the day. When we saw it as a possibility to achieve things. When we went into the day with hope and with understanding and with the energy to do what needed to be done. This meeting should be like that. The items that are on the agenda for this board deal with hopes and opportunities and things that need to be done within the city. Our minds should be like that. We should be open to listening, and we should be hopeful for reading or meeting a difficult but a decent resolution to any issue that should arise. Because in the final analysis, this is our city, and we are our city. Amen.
Amen. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members of the City Board, we stand before you today to acknowledge National Tennis Month. As I read, whereas tennis is a lifetime sport that not only promotes physical activity, coordination, flexibility, and strength, but also builds character, confidence, and self-esteem in players of all ages and backgrounds. And whereas the United States Tennis Association, founded in 1881, is the largest tennis organization in the world, serving over 550,000 members nationwide and supporting the growth of the game through community programs, youth development, and competitive play. And according to the latest Physical Activity Council research, more than 25.7 million Americans played tennis in 2024, marking a 46% increase in participation since 2019, and the highest number recorded since the PAC began tracking in 2007. And whereas the National Tennis Month serves as a celebration and invitation to people of all ages and skill levels, with events held in local parks, recreation centers, and clubs across the country, helping residents discover or rediscover the joy of the game while promoting healthy lifestyles and social connection. And whereas the City of Little Rock recognizes the important role of accessible, inclusive recreational opportunities and supports the efforts of local tennis organizations, coaches, and volunteers who make it possible for residents to learn, play, and thrive through the sport. Now, therefore, I, Frank Scott Jr., Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as National Tennis Month. Before we take a photo, I want to briefly bring Leland Couch to share what the City Board has done as it relates to tennis in our local parks, and then a brief advertisement from Susan Altru, our Director of Zoo, because she's the only person I know who's actually gone to Wimbledon more than twice. So, Leland, quickly, we got a long meeting.
So in all of our parks. Okay, good evening. Thank you, Mayor. So for our tennis facilities, our biggest area is Resmond Tennis. It's our biggest and best, and we're excited that recently we've been able to improve the lighting there. We've improved it with our Musco systems. We have some great staff with Chip Stearns and Alan Fox here, and they host many great tournaments there, our Little Rock Open, and we appreciate all the great donations and individuals that help run that. In our local neighborhood parks, we have many tennis courts. We have over 25 different courts of different areas. We use a lot of different grants to resurface those, and we're very excited about our game of tennis as well as other racket ball sports. So anyway,
Ball, right?
yeah, well, I wasn't going to say it, but yeah.
All right,
Right.
Susan, quickly.
Thank you, Mayor and board members. Just want to quickly recognize Deanna Garrettson. She is the Executive Director of Arkansas Tennis Association. And I'm here because I'm a board member of the Arkansas Tennis Association. That's the USA Tennis Association chapter here. We are also joined by other board members that are with us here today. So that's why they are here, as well as some other staff members that are here. And I just wanted to also emphasize the importance of having public tennis courts. Just a couple of years ago, I had never played a sport in my life, and it's because of our public tennis courts here in Little Rock, especially Rebsamen Tennis Court. For $40, I took a quick play tennis quick class, and it was a 6-week course, learned how to play tennis, and it is something that I absolutely love. And anyone can play tennis. You can start at any age with any experience level, and it is something you can enjoy for a lifetime. So thank you for your commitment to Rebsamen and to all of our Parks and Recreation tennis courts for that dedication. It is truly a wonderful sport that we enjoy and that many people in our community enjoy. And it's not Wimbledon I've been to, it's the US Open that I go to. So just wanted to make sure you knew that too, Mayor. And I don't play in it, I just go as a spectator. But thank you so much for that commitment.
All right, we'll do. Oh, of course. Going to Wimbledon next month. All right, we'll have a Little Rock Parks and Recreation Commission update. Mr. Ben France, one of my dear friends, and I want to talk about our college days.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Vice Mayor Warwick and directors. I'm here just to present our 2024 year in review for the Parks and Recreation. I serve as chair of the Parks and Recreation. We meet on the second Wednesdays of each month. Director Peck and Director Lewis are there usually every month, and it's welcome to the public. There's food if you guys like to eat. So I invite anyone to come and check out the Parks and Recreation. So I won't take long. This is going to be brief. I'm going to go through a presentation to discuss what we all did in 2024. If you can go to the next slide, please. Where did I point it? Oh, there it is. Oh, so here's quickly what we're going to go through. You can all read that. I'm not going to read it because it's all right there in front of you. So it's a long night, I know. Okay, here's the commission members. Right now we have currently 8. I serve as chair. J2 First serves as vice chair. We're always looking for new members, so if you have any interest in Parks and Recreation, this is more for the crowd behind me, please feel to apply on City of Little Rock. Where should I point it? At there? You click it. Briefly, the responsibilities of the commission. We hold periodic meetings once a month, which I talked about. We recommend to the city manager any land or facility acquisitions, consult with Director Couch, which I didn't mention, but kudos to Director Couch and all that staff for what they're doing with the Parks and Recreation Commission. Can you go back to, okay. We also consult and advise the Director of Little Rock Parks and Recreation, which was mentioned, and we submit an annual report to Little Rock Board of Directors, which is what I'm doing now, and consult and advise with the Director on annual basis regarding the future of strategic needs of the park. Next slide, please. Here is our mission and vision statement. This is on the website, and it's right in front of you, but just you guys can read it. Go ahead, next slide. So the neat thing we've done this year is we have 3 subcommittees. One's the master plan. If you know, we did a master plan about 4 or 5 years ago, and we actually have a subcommittee that meets every month to talk about that and figure out what are the strategic needs for each park going forward. We also have a marketing subcommittee. Can you guys hear me? Is it good? Okay. Okay. We have a marketing subcommittee, which we changed from outreach, social media. This is more of, helping out marketing the parks. And then the Parks Conservancy, which is a nonprofit arm of the parks. We have a subcommittee for that as well. So in the sales stats, we did a lot for the sales stats. We wrote a letter in support of the sales stats, and various commission members spoke in favor of the sales stats. And we had various commission members attend public meetings, and we also did some social media support of sales stats. Next slide. Just some success stories. Directors, you guys all know about this, but just wanted to show some pictures. The 5 that we're going to talk about or show is Canis, Jim Daly, Pankey, Boyle, Margaret Clark. If you can just go, here's Canis, of course, new basketball courts. Next slide, please. Jim Daly, new HVAC last year as well. Next slide, please. Pankey Park, new playgrounds and trails. Next slide. The same with Boyle Park. Next slide, please. And Margaret Clark, we had a new exhibit there at Margaret Clark. Next slide, please. And here's Kiwanis with a new playground as well. So those are probably the major efforts we did at parks. Of course, we're always doing efforts at each park throughout the year, but those are some of the major ones I wanted to highlight. Next slide, please. So these are just some of the summer programs and events that we held throughout 2024. Next slide, please. I want to just really capture, which I think is one of the biggest secrets in Little Rock, is the summer playground program. So for $100, your child can have 8-week program at our various parks and community centers. I mean, that $100 for 8 weeks, that's unheard of. So I think it's really neat that the city of Little Rock puts this on and allows our youth to go out and visit a bunch of parks across our great city. So really neat story, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about that from the crowd or from our directors. Next slide, please. Here's just a picture of the kids playing in the summer playground program. Next slide. And we have, of course, it's our meetings are public that we held every second Wednesday of the month. And so here's some of the citizen communication that we had throughout the year. Walton Heights Playground, there's an effort to build a new playground at Walton Heights. War Memorial Golf, Jim Daly Senior Facility, and then community center improvements. So next slide. So that was it. I know I ran through that, but I wanted you guys to get a glimpse of what we all did in 2024. I appreciate all your support of the parks and recreation, and we would already have a lot of cool things we're doing in 2025. And like I said, we'd love for you all to attend the parks meeting second Wednesday of each month. We do a lot of things with some great people and great staff. So thank you so much. Any questions?
Thank you, Chairman Franz. We just want to share our appreciation to you and the entire Parks Commission and the work that you guys are doing. We do know a lot of the improvements that we've seen are due to the 2022 bonds being extended. So we're seeing a lot of great maintenance and improvements there. Excited about that. I think a lot of folks are excited too for Little Rock to have its first own senior resident facility, which is going to be the renovation and expansion of the Center University Park with a pool, correct, Leland? Make sure. so nobody has to go to Patrick Henry Hayes across the river. That's always been the running joke for our senior residents, and so we're excited about that for the first time in its history to have that. And so that was also due to the American Rescue Plan Act giving us a lot of seed funding, all happening because of the city board approving that. So we're grateful and grateful for the work of the commission. You guys do a lot, and we're grateful. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
What's the age limit for the summer playground initiative? Up to what age?
Where?
You'll get it to me? Okay, all right.
Yeah. Under 18. I'm going to say that. You're too old.
I think it's under 18, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Oh, and before you do that, I know there's several members of the Parks Commission. They'll just stand. I know it's all Summer. Anybody else? Okay. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Ben. All right, we have one modification for today's agenda, which is a deferral of item number 12.
Move for the deferral of item 12 to May 20th.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the consent agenda.
A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Larry Harris, doing business as Harris Construction Management, in an amount not to exceed $197,532 for the Rock Street Crosswalks Improvement Project and for other purposes, funding from the limited tax general obligation capital improvement bonds. A resolution to express the willingness of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas to utilize Federal Aid Transportation Alternatives Program or Recreational Trails Program funds for Markham Street Side Path Phase 2 and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Turnkey Mobile Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $159,852.70 for the purchase of 49 mobile Panasonic FC55J-Z00 KBM Toughbook laptops with 3-year warranties to outfit patrol units to support the needs of the Little Rock Police Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Bill's Fence Company Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $66,475 for perimeter fence and gate installation at the Little Rock Police Department's 12th Street substation and for other purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution Number 16,603, February 18th, 2025, to add 4 more entities to those authorized to contract with the City of Little Rock, Arkansas without competitive bids as part of the cooperative purchasing agreement and for other purposes. A resolution to certify local government endorsement of Headlands Tech Holdings, LLC, located at 15900 Arkansas Systems Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, 72223, to participate in the Arkansas Tax Back Program as authorized by Arkansas Code Section 15-4-2706D of the Consolidated Incentive Act of 2003 and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Alltech Industries Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $187,793 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of 1 new bucket truck with chipper bed for the Street Operations Division of the city's Public Works Department and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Smart Auto Group 6, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $56,500 plus applicable taxes and fees for the purchase of 1 Ford F-450 4x4 crew cab truck for the Street Operations Division of the city's Public Works Department and for other purposes. A resolution to set May 20th, 2025 as the date of public hearing regarding the 2025 sources and uses of CDBG, home, and HOPWA funds from the United States government and for other purposes. A resolution to set May 20th, 2025 as the date of hearing on appeal of the Planning Commission's action in approving a special use permit titled Tenant Group Home 1 Special Use Permit located at 205 North Woodrow Street in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to set May 20th, 2025 as the date of hearing on the appeal of Planning Commission's action in approving a special use permit titled Tenant Group Home 2 Special Use Permit located at 822 North Monroe Street in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. A resolution to extend the Frida Plaza Temporary Entertainment District for the dates of May 3rd, 2025 through December 28th, 2025, and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. We'll now transition to citizens' communication. Megan Mangrum. Miss Megan Mangrum.
Hello. Oh, wait. Okay, so can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool. So last time that I spoke, I was a bit angry. I know that we only have a certain amount of time. I live in Madison Heights, and I get to watch those kids grow up, and I get to see the elderly there. They've planted their lives there for various different reasons. Some because they wanted to retire and wanted to downsize a home. Some because they wanted to be close to their family, and some just because they want to be there. It's a community. It is not the hood like they try to label it. We're not white collar like $1,500 a week bakers, no, but we're human and we do deserve our home that we've created. I've personally lived there for 4 years, and out of all the neighborhoods that I've seen in Little Rock, I actually feel safer there than anywhere. You notice the gas stations like getting hit up on Chenal and stuff, and anyway, I just feel like this stems from some animosity toward people. I don't even know anything that kind of maybe embezzled a little bit of something, and there's a little bit of a vendetta about it. I don't know. I'm just asking you today to please save our home, because I have been in sobriety now for 2 years. I did have one relapse, but and I've made it my safe place, and there's so many other things that I could stand up here and say, but Jesus is with me today and he knows my heart. So I pray that he touches every single one of you. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. God bless you. Mr. Tyrone Davis.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilman Beck, and other council members. I'm here before, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm here today. I live off of Rodney Parham, and they've had done a final walkthrough on that project, but I had some issues with it. On April the 2nd, Public Works did come out and visit with me, and I responded with them on April the 3rd. But I have not heard a response back from them. I'm just asking for a response back from Public Works.
Well, we got something good for you. Mr. John Honeywell, when you get a chance, he's in the back. He'll come visit with you.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Mr. Willie Dove, Willethel Dove, maybe? Mrs. Dove. I apologize for not reading correctly. Hey, Leland, if you'll get John in the back and see if he can visit with Mr. Davis. I think Mr. Davis is looking for him, but I don't know if John or Grant's in the back. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Willetta Dove. I'm also serving with Madison Heights Apartments, and we did get the notice about the foreclosure. And I have been there since they first opened up, 2001. And I transitioned to a smaller apartment because my daughter had grew up. But the fact that you're saying that it's not closing, but we still get the news that it is. And we got a note yesterday saying not to worry about our homes. We'll have nothing to worry about. But that still does not mean that we all believe that. I don't believe it. But I am trying to find out what is the solution that we can come to make everybody in the apartments feel safe. There are a lot of elderly people there. There are a lot of young people there, like she said. We are still trying to find out what is the solution to help, because you already made us pay a water bill. We thought that was, and it's not even in our name. And we thought that was probably because they were in so much debt. I don't really approve of the water bill because it's not in my name. And I was trying to figure out what can we do? What's the resolution to help all the residents in that apartment let it known that we want to be safe in our home. Because most of my stuff is probably packed, because I don't really know. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Miss Selena Williams. Yeah. Let's be, yeah, you got it. All right.
Good evening. I also live at Madison Heights. I've been there for 25 years. When it first opened, my goal was to retire there, and I am retired now. But like Willetta said, it it makes us uncomfortable not knowing if we're going to have a home or not. The city already know the issues we're having there, and so we want to know from the city council if we're going to have a home or not. If our home going to be sold, let us know. A lot of us can't afford the rent from these apartments they're putting up. A lot of us are finding out that there are places that we would like to live, but we can't afford it because of our income. So being mindful of your decisions for that community, because I have neighbors whom I love, who've been there as long as I have, and I consider them family. And we look out for each other. So we really need your help in saving our home. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Miss Linda Bumbley?
Well, good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Now, my name is Miss Linda Faye Bumblebee Williams, and I am here speaking for Madison Heights too. We have brought some people here to let the board know as well, so is anyone else, the lawyers, the bankers. I need these three young people right here. This is what we call families. Madison Heights was rebuilt from a place called Highland Court. But Highland Court was not originally Highland Court. It was named Highland Park. And it was built back in 1942. And it was a community. The war brought it in for low and moderate income. They didn't only build apartments out there, they built homes out there. And I know all of y'all know that that was called Highland Park. And they still call it Highland Park, but Highland Court became Highland Court when life changes. We had from 1942 to 1965 was Highland Park. After the integration, things changed. Integration and segregation became an issue. And then when that became an issue, it became Highland Park, became Highland Court, because everything had changed and they started being in court so much. That's how the name Highland Court became an issue. They rebuilt Highland Park, they canceled all of that out, the grounds. They rebuilt it and renamed it. They didn't want Highland Park no more, or even Highland Court, none of that ever to be brought up again. It was reissued, graded. I'm having problems with this darn thing, and I don't want y'all to see my mouth, but they,
And if you want to keep it on, then we can hear it through the microphone.
okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
this is what has happened. It was bulldozed and redone in 1968, and they rebuilt it and redone it, and they fixed it into Madison Heights in 1999. And I moved in October of 1999. And you're talking about a beautiful place. And it's still let me see, let me calm myself down. That's my time? Okay.
If you'll leave that and we'll, with our, if you want to make a copy or we can make a copy, we'll enter into the record, but
Well, that's okay. You got my ideals. I just want y'all to see families. This is not just a housing complex.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll be talking.
This is families here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Mr. Tate.
Thank you all so much and be blessed.
Yes, be blessed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mr. Tayez.
Hello. Oh, it's raining out there bad. I'm here on behalf of my neighbors who live on 29th Street next to the property on Zion and Cobb, and I'm just gonna keep it simple. We're just trying to find out more information on the construction over there. Exactly a month ago, that neighborhood was hit with a flash flood, and we are worried that the deforestation that happened on that lot probably is going to affect the flooding even more. Right now, I've gotten texts. Sorry. Oh. No, it's fine. It's fine. You good? Thank you. All right. I'm sorry. I'm nervous speaking in public, but so yeah, we're just nervous. Well, all that neighborhood is nervous about the flooding that happened, and the forest that used to be there. Used to be there probably before the city was even founded is gone. So we're worried about all that rainwater going to the creek, Rock Creek over there. And, it all came at a surprise because we had construction crews come in, no safety signs or anything like that, saying there was construction work being done on that street. And, we're just trying to get more questions from the city. All I did was talk to my neighbors across the street. They told me they didn't know about it. They were waiting on a meeting from the city. They hadn't had that. The last notice we had was for it to be rescheduled at a further date. And then I kept talking to more and more neighbors, just walking down from 29th to Walker, going down all the way down Rock Creek. And each one of them were telling me, we don't know what's going on. I know they spent $700,000 on reinforcing part of the creek. They know about the construction over there and everything like that they had to deal with. So they're saying, oh, now we got to deal with even more construction, and they don't let us know. And, folks, I got elderly neighbors that collect all their mail, never throw anything away, and they didn't find any notices or anything from the city. So we're just trying to get more information from the city and, answers why we didn't have that meeting, because, we just live over there, and we're just worried about, the potential risks of, the creek and everything over there. We have safety reasons. I'm going around canvassing, getting a petition done. I've got over 100 signatures right now. And yeah, we're all trying to find out if we can set up a time that is convenient for all the people that signed my petition that actually live in that neighborhood. And that's me walking around canvassing, knocking on doors on people that live next to me. So it's not, it's folks that actually live here. And yesterday we went to the West Central Neighborhood Association, and a lot of them did sign the petition. And they also had questions too, because they didn't really know about this project. So we're just curious and want answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right. As you know, we don't answer questions during citizen communication, but Mr. Tayez, you can visit with Mr. Howard, who's right behind you. All right, Madam Clerk, if you would please read the group items.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development to establish a planned development commercial titled the Oyster Bar Employee Parking, PDC, located at 109 South Booker Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,343, December 5th, 2023, ordinance number 22,502, August 6th, 2024, ordinance number 22,554, November 19th, 2024, and ordinance number 22,566, December 17th, 2024, to adjust the 2024 fiscal year budget ordinance to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, vehicle storage fund, parking garage fund, and waste disposal fund to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to terminate the Little Rock redevelopment district number 1 to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with River City Hydraulics Incorporated in amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual heel parts and service for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with Siddons Martin Emergency Group, LLC, an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Pierce parts and service for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,424, March 19th, 2024, to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to extend the annual contract with Banner Fire Equipment Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $300,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for E1 parts and service for E1 equipment in the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company, an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Caterpillar parts and service for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a plan development commercial titled the Oyster Bar Employee Parking, PDC, located at 109 South Booker Street. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,343, December 5th, 2023, ordinance number 22,502, August 6th, 2024, ordinance number 22,554, November 19th, 2024, and ordinance number 22,566, December 17th, 2024, to adjust the 2024 fiscal year budget ordinances to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, vehicle storage fund, parking garage fund, and waste disposal fund to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to terminate the Little Rock redevelopment district number 1 to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with River City Hydraulics Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual heel parts and service for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with Siddons Martin Emergency Group, LLC, an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Pierce parts service for the city Fleet's Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,424, March 19th, 2024, to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to extend the annual contract with Banner Fire Equipment Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $300,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for E1 parts and service for E1 equipment in the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a 1-year service and parts contract with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Caterpillar parts and service for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. Second reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a plan development commercial titled the Oyster Bar Employee Parking, PDC, located at 109 South Booker Street. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,343, December 5th, 2023. Ordinance number 22,502, August 6, 2024. Ordinance number 22,554, November 19, 2024. And ordinance number 22,566, December 17, 2024, to adjust the 2024 fiscal year budget ordinances to reflect revenue and expenditure adjustments for the general fund, street fund, vehicle storage fund, parking garage fund, and waste disposal fund to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to terminate the Little Rock Redevelopment District Number 1 to declare an emergency and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year service and parts contract with River City Hydraulics Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual heel parts and services for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year service and parts contract with Siddons Martin Emergency Group LLC in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Pierce parts and services for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 22,424, March 19th, 2024, to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to extend the annual contract with Banner Fire Equipment Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $300,000 plus applicable taxes and fees for E1 parts and services for E1 equipment in the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. An ordinance to declare it impractical and unfeasible to bid to authorize the city manager to enter into a one-year service and parts contract with J.A. Riggs Tractor Company in an amount not to exceed $500,000 for annual Caterpillar parts and services for the city's Fleet Services Department and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. We also have emergency clause for item number 15.
And we have one for 16, too.
15 and 16. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it for 15 and 16, emergency clause. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 21.
A resolution approving the amended bylaws of the Little Rock Land Bank Commission and for other purposes.
There's a motion and a second. There are no cards, Director Computers.
I'd like to know if our representatives on the Land Bank Commission approve of the changes.
You want to talk to the chairperson of the Land Bank Committee?
I want to talk about the board members, our board members.
Adcock made the motion to support it.
And we have. He's asking, do you support it?
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Motion passes. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 22.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled Gonzalez Outdoor Market, PCD, located on the west side of Geyer Springs Road, approximately 0.4 miles south of Mableville Cutoff, City of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled Gonzalez Outdoor Market, PCD, located on the west side of Geyer Springs Road, approximately 0.4 miles south of Mableville Cutoff. Second reading.
There's a motion and second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a planned commercial development titled Gonzalez Outdoor Market, PCD, located on the west side of Geyer Springs Road, approximately 0.4 miles south of Mableville Cutoff. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. Are you present? Vice Mayor Wyrick.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, do we have any cards on this one?
Yes, we have a card, and it states that representative only speak if needed.
Okay, I had asked to have this separate. I observed this at the Planning Commission, and we had a number of residents that live in the area that objected to it. There's a church and school across the street. There are representatives from Deer Meadow subdivision that objected to it, and then also Yorkwood. And part of the reasons they objected to it was the fact that it was going to be a busy environment with food court, soccer fields, pavilions, those kinds of things that would be disruptive to the neighborhood. I will also say that if you look at the plan, and I don't know if Jordan is here, Mr. Jordan is here or not, but, oh, I see, he always hides over there. You might give us some details on the plans. I heard from the neighborhood that the location that they're wanting to build this was underwater in the last flood event that we had. And when you look at the plans, it shows a lot of previous zoning that's park and open space. And typically for the city of Little Rock, that is floodway, floodplain, low-lying land. So can you give us some details on that? And the other thing I want to ask is, in the Planning Commission, there were some plan details of parking and where the pavilions were going to go, and that was not a part of our documentation to the board. I don't know if you have it to present or not, but that would be some information that I'd like to know about in regards to the property is L-shaped. And it
Yes.
sounds like they're planning on building parking area and pavilions, and will any of that be in the floodway, floodplain? Is it floodway? Is it floodplain? What are the details in regards to the flooding? Because we have houses that are built in Southwest Little Rock that are in the floodway, floodplain, and they've been there for a number of years, and now they're requiring some assistance with their houses, with the fish, whatever tributaries go through Southwest Little Rock. And so I don't want us to get into a situation where we approve things for buildings and then individuals come back and ask us to repair what is broken. So
Sure.
can you give us some details about that?
Yeah, Vice Mayor Wyrick, thank you for the question. This is a 32-acre site, and it is L-shaped. And they are only proposing to use the northern 11 acres of this because it is, the floodway, floodplain is significantly present on this property. So they are not encroaching on that. They're building to the north of it.
But they're actually asking for rezoning for the whole parcel.
Yes.
So why would we not keep it open space park instead of opening the door where they could put pavilions or anything in that property that is floodway, floodplain? Do you know for sure that it is?
Yes, the map shows it. The
Okay,
firm map
shows
shows
it
it.
in the floodway,
Yeah,
floodplain.
but the area that they are proposing to develop is not in that at all. They're not using the area that's in the floodplain.
So why wouldn't we rezone the whole area, the whole 32 acres? Why wouldn't we just rezone the area for where they are actually doing the work? I
That
guess
w-
they asked for it to
That
be
was the
done in-
request by the
yeah.
applicant. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm opposed to rezoning the area that's in the floodway, floodplain. So you don't have the site plan or any of that?
It should have been included in the sketch.
I see land use and I see sketch, but I didn't see the parking or the pavilion. It's on the sketch. Is it on the sketch?
Mhm.
I guess I just missed it. Okay, okay. So some of the complaints from I guess that's all I need from you, Brad. I wanted to see that parking schedule and the way it looked. Some of the complaints from the neighborhood, as they indicated, the Planning Commission were the noise, the food trucks with the smell of food. They are in close proximity to Deer Meadows subdivision. There are a couple of people from there. So I guess those are the objections that I heard from planning, and maybe the card is from the applicant. I'm not sure.
The card is from the agent, Mr. Lopez Robles.
Okay, maybe we should hear from him.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get.
Good afternoon. And do you have a question? I was having a hard time hearing back out there.
I'm sorry, I went through a whole litany of
Yeah, you did.
of
A lot of
things. I'm
questions.
sorry you missed it. The concerns from the neighborhood actually deal with the noise, the traffic patterns, the smell of food, food trucks being in the area, and hours of operation. I think on maybe Sundays it's 6 in the afternoon, and during the week it's 7 to the afternoon, or vice versa. Can you talk about the actual use of that property?
Well, the owners are thinking of using this property only during daylight times, from sunset. I'm sorry, uh, from the sun goes up and when the sun goes down. And they want to have they're concerned about the safety, and they think they want to set up a special place where safety is one of the main priorities, cleanliness, a place where people can have sell things without having any issues, where the owners a need for this type of not I don't want to say buildings, because they're not buildings, they're open. It's an open market. But she thought it would be, she wants to make things beautiful, and so she's making it to where people that like to sell things can come and sell their things. One of the things that was raised during the last meeting was about the food, and to be honest, the food is, the houses are very far away from this property. There is no property, I want to say, maybe more than 200 or 300 feet from the property and the section that is going to be built on. And I think, I don't think it would be that big of a problem when it comes to smell. Also noise, they want to keep this a place where the noise is down. They're not going to do any loud music or anything like that. And they want to keep a clean space in this area because they want it to look good. They want a beautiful place away from trying to keep it neat.
So the hours of operation that it shows in the document, which will be the final say-so as far as what they can do, is they want to be open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, approximately 6 a.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. during the summer months, and 7 to 5 p.m. during the winter months.
Correct.
So they were kind of iffy about what the timing was, but this is what's in the documentation as far as what they want to do. The other question that I had was that property that you're rezoning is an L-shaped property, and we've got a sketch that shows the parking, and part of that property is in the floodway, floodplain, and I have concerns about rezoning that with the rest of the property when you can't really do anything with that property with it being in the floodway, floodplain. So why are we rezoning the whole piece of property?
I think that was advice from some people from the city. They were saying that it would be best to rezone the whole property. The only part that the property that is going to be used is the northern part of the section, which is 11 acres, which is not under the flood zone. Yeah. The city codes allowed. One of the things that the city codes is asking is there has to be about 25 feet of where you cannot build anything away from and I think there is enough space under that. Even if it's rezoned, the city would not allow to build anything. I think the only thing that can be built is parking if it stays within ordinance, where the water can flow and it won't affect any other buildings or houses around the area. I think that's the only thing that they can build there. But there's under the 11 acres on the north side of the property, I think there's about 25 feet of space that it cannot be built unless it's a parking area. But that's the only thing that the city allows to build anyways.
Okay, and it sounds like you're, from the write-up, I didn't remember it from the meeting, but you're phasing in pavilions that you're building through there, are they all going to be on the higher ground that's not in the floodplain?
Yes, correct.
Okay, okay. I think that's all my questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Director Adcock?
Last night, I attended, after the first meeting, another meeting. The president from Southwest Ups called me this afternoon, and she said that they was not in support of this. Evidently, you're not building buildings, you're just going to be selling from your vehicles.
No, there will be open metal buildings, pavilions. So they will have a roof and columns, basically. It would be on a slab, and there will be parking lots. So there will be an area where you can sell from your vehicles, but that's limited. It's a small space on the south side of the area.
You can sell from your vehicles.
Yes, but not everyone can sell from their vehicles. This is the plan. The plan is to use the pavilions mainly, and this is when the pavilions are full of are already full.
And there is a charter school across the street from this site, and they also was in opposition to it. And we have neighborhood oppositions last night from the location of this business.
On that meeting that we had with the charter school, we spoke to them afterwards, and they were happy. They didn't understand when they came up here to speak to the members on that meeting, they didn't know much about it. But we spoke to them, and afterwards they sounded like they were happy to have. I think their main concern was traffic, but the city has rules where there has to be the owner has to build an extra road, half the size of the road, so they can the traffic can maneuver for both businesses.
Well, last night it was stated that the charter school still had some questions or some problems with it, as well as Southwest Ups. And I do not support this. I think that it would be hard for our staff to keep up with who's selling businesses and everything in that location. Thank you.
Director Hines?
Yep. Brad, I have a question. So this is a PCD, right? Plan development?
Correct.
So the only thing that can be built is what's on the sketch we're looking at, correct?
Yes, it's site-specific.
Okay, so if they were going to change anything aside from this plan, they'd have to come back to Planning Commission?
They would have to do it all over again, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, members of the board. We've heard from the applicant. We've heard from you. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed? Hold on one second, guys. I got to say all those opposed. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Noes have it. That's what I heard. All right. Item number 24. Item number 23. Madam Clerk?
An ordinance to approve a plain zoning development and to establish a plain development residential titled Our Lady of Holy Souls Catholic Church parking lot located at 1015 North Tyler Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. First reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Second reading.
An ordinance to approve a plain zoning development and to establish a plain development residential titled Our Lady of Holy Souls Catholic Church parking lot located at 1015 North Tyler Street. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development to establish a planned development residential titled Our Lady of Holy Souls Catholic Church parking lot located at 1015 North Tyler Street, third and final reading.
Members of the City Board, we've had 3 readings. We see you have a hand up from Director Peck. I do want to share with the City Board. We're going to start out. As you know, sometimes when we have this many cards, we may curtail the time depending on how long it takes. We got 32 cards. And so we may curtail the time, we may not, we'll see. But just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. We'll start, Director Peck.
Thank you, Mayor. Just out of curiosity, well, first of all, in 8.5 years, I've never had so many emails or correspondence from both sides. So thank you for your passion. But just out of curiosity, I would like the people who are actually living in the immediate neighborhood to stand up. Okay, I'm just curious. That's all.
All right.
And thank you,
And-
thank everyone
and-
for being here.
Yeah. Did you tell them about the sticks? All right. Hey, everyone, seriously, no sticks. So if you have a stick, just tear off the paper if you want to use the sign. Just tear off the paper, but no sticks. All right, if y'all pass all the sticks and put it right here and give it to Brad. Brad, raise your hand. Oh, our officer will get the sticks. And we did the same thing with some folks a month ago. Those are like ruler sticks. I mean,
Mayor, they asked what to do with the sticks, and I just said, keep them out of sight.
we'll recycle. We'll make certain they're okay. Director Webb.
Just have a question. How many people are downstairs?
Someone speak for the group to let us know how many people downstairs. How many? About 20. That's not true. All right, we got a lot downstairs, everybody. We got a lot. Not. All right, Director Webb, did you have anything else?
I'll reserve my comment.
It was put into the ordinance a long time ago for safety, so nobody got hit.
All right. Thank you all for complying and removing your sticks. All right. We can have a little levity every now and then. Mr. Patrick Wilson, Esquire.
Mayor, can we present our case? Is that possible? To show the board the plan and to present our case first?
And I will happily defer. Well, here's going to be the rules. So we got, again, it's 32 cards, and generally, if it was citizens communication, you get 3 minutes apiece, so that's 96 minutes. During the agenda card portion, you do not necessarily have a time limit until a time limit is invoked upon you. And so
we're glad to have 3 speakers besides us.
And that's fine. That is the chair of the pleasure will allow that. So if those who are for want to, which is Mr. Patrick Wilson, if you want to defer your time, you guys figure that out and just come to the podium and we'll oblige.
Happily defer to Mr. Smith.
All right. And just so for those who are against you, we got all your cards and the 3,500 people that are downstairs. And
We won't keep you all night.
We are aware.
Mayor and Board of Directors, I'm Gary Smith, and I've been a member of Holy Souls Parish for 40 years. The Hillcrest neighborhood and surrounding area are unique in that it's host to 6 schools and 4 prominent churches. Holy Souls happens to be the largest church in the area, and we have 300 families that live just in the very immediate area of the church in addition to other neighborhoods. We've always been a good, stable, and wonderful anchor to the neighborhood, as have the schools and other churches have been, and it sort of helps what makes Hillcrest Hillcrest. We share our school playground with its neighbors, and it's regularly used, and we try to be good neighbors. We're a bit different. We've got a school with over 500 students in the school. It's very stable. Even after bringing in the staff for the school and for the church, we have about 8 parking spaces that are available during the day. If we have a special event, a funeral, whatever, people are parked down the hills, and it's tough on the elderly people, and we are very short of handicap parking. It's tough on the parishioners, their visitors, and also emergency vehicles getting in. We've been through a lengthy process to get here. We've modified our plans. We've met with neighbors. We postponed a planning commission meeting to allow more input. We've tried to leave as many mature trees, and we'll get into that. And we adjusted the parking down from 66 spaces to 58 spaces to keep trees and beef up the corner landscaping as requested by the neighbors. The property's been owned between 25 years by the church. We have 0 plans to build beyond our contiguous physical plant as it stands. We used to own 2 houses across the street. We sold them to residents across the street on Tyler Street in the early 2000s because we didn't want to expand beyond our contiguous boundary. But we have 93 parking spaces. And it's very difficult to park 1,000 people on a Sunday up to 1,700. We have offered to build the parking in 2 phases. The first half on the west side and wait at least 1 year and offer the vacant house that's on the corner to anybody that wants it, and we'll contribute $10,000 toward the moving of that house. So we have modified the plan in that respect also. So we will wait at least a year before we would proceed with the phase 2. We had the house looked at. It would cost over $250,000 to renovate that house, meet code, so forth, and we can't do it. Little Rock's Code Article 8 would require us to have 204 spaces, 204. When we're finished, we would have 151, up from 93, and that would be 25% less than what code calls for. We're in the overlay district, not the historic district, but the overlay district, and it calls for a minimum of 50% of what Article 8 calls for. That means 102 spaces. We're still below right now. So even if we add these spaces, even within the overlay, which allows up to 204 maximum, we would be 25% below that in the overlay. The planning staff has approved it. A majority of the planning commission voted for it, those that were present at the meeting, and agreed with staff. Lastly, I will tell you that again, we have no plans for expanding beyond our current physical plant whatsoever. We're very slow movers. I can assure you that. The other institutions in our area have as many as 253 parking spaces with very little landscaping in the heart of the historic district. And we're going to have over 100 fewer than that, and we've got the most members of any institution like us in the historic, in the overlay or the historic district. Now I'd like for Greg Peckham to quickly tell you about the trees, the drainage, which has been brought up.
Quickly. My name is Greg Peckham. I'm a principal architect with Peckham Smith Architects here in Little Rock. I've been a member of the parish for about 45 years. My wife and I were married at Holy Souls, and we are residents of Hillcrest. We've lived in Hillcrest for about 34 years, so we've got some ties. What I want to do is add some specifics to what Gary has outlined, and I also would like to take a moment to address some of the concerns that have been expressed by the neighbors. First of all, I want to just briefly touch on our construction process. On site right now, there are 31 major trees, significant trees on the property. 12 of those trees are around the perimeter of the property or within 25 feet of the streets. We plan to retain all 12 of those trees. We will also retain an additional 3 large trees in the middle of the lot, 2 30-inch oak trees and a 16-inch oak tree. That means we will be removing 16 trees, just as a matter of understanding. Our construction process will be as light as we can make it. We intend to shape the property. We'll not do any significant grading, primarily because we do not want to disturb the surface, the trees anymore, the existing trees any more than is necessary in order to create the parking space. Once the parking is completed, we plan to come back and re-landscape. We will provide at least a minimum of 3 new street trees, probably 4 of those, plus possibly an additional 5th one. Those will be on Jay and potentially on Tyler. We will also include 12 to 13 interior trees, some of those a combination of shade trees, and then understory trees such as dogwoods, redbuds, multi-trunk crepe myrtles. Hopefully with the idea that when we're done, we will have we won't be able to put back in kind what was there, but hopefully in number we will put back the number of trees that were on the site to begin with, and with a little bit of, hopefully with a little bit of refined landscaping and color. Second thing I want to touch on is the parking itself. There were some comments in the Planning Commission meeting that perhaps the parking would never be used, or this parking was not going to be used as much as it should be. And I will tell you that the plan for the parking during the school year, during the week, this parking will be occupied by teachers and staff and administrators for the school and staff for the parish. This lot and the southeast lot, which is down south of the parish hall. That will leave the west lot, which is the main lot in front of the church, available for various reasons. I mean, so that we have off-street parking for anybody who is going to visit the church during the week, parents visiting the school events, church office, that sort of thing, as well as any services that would take place during the week, usually funerals. So that parking will remain available. The other issue then on the weekends, when we have 4 masses on the weekend, we can have as many as 500 to 600 people in the church. That generates anywhere from 175 perhaps to 200 parking cars. Clearly, we will not have enough parking spaces for that. We know we're going to continue to park on the street. So but the idea here as far as this parking is, our new parking lot, is to reduce the number of uncontrolled interactions between pedestrians and vehicles. Right now, if you park on the street around Holy Souls, you will exit your car, you will walk in the street to the church. There are no sidewalks on Tyler, J Street, or Harrison. The terrain just makes it impractical, almost impossible to put in sidewalks. So you're on the street. You're sharing the street with 2 parked cars on a 27 or 28-foot drive, 2 parked cars, and basically 1 lane of traffic. And so what we want to do is reduce this safety issue so that if you park in a controlled lot, you exit your car, you circulate to the church in a controlled environment, you're not out on the street. That's the primary, that is the primary purpose for the lot to be used on Sundays. Will we still have on-street parking? Yes, we can't avoid that. We won't, and we just have to deal with that the way it is. At any rate, so the other thing was emergency vehicles. By removing cars from the street, we also make it much easier for emergency vehicles to access the site. The last thing I want to talk about is drainage. We understand that the site, because it's going to be a parking lot, will have increased stormwater runoff. To get an understanding of the magnitude of that, we asked our civil engineering firm, Thomas Engineering in North Little Rock, to do a preliminary drainage study in order to understand the runoff. And what we're looking at, asked them to do, was look at runoff from a typical residential development, a house on each lot, how much runoff you would typically have in that kind of configuration, and compare that with what we will have with the parking lot. What they came out, I'm going to give you the numbers. They don't mean, I'm an architect, I am not an engineer, but I'm going to give you the numbers just because you'll have an understanding of what we're talking about. This is for a 25-year rain event. The residential rate is 2.78 cubic feet per second. The parking rate is 4.73 cubic feet per second. That's 1.95 cubic feet per second greater for the parking. That's about a 70% increase. Now, I asked the engineers, I said, okay, These numbers don't mean a lot to me. What is the impact of those numbers? Well, they said, well, realistically, that's a fairly minor amount of water, relatively speaking. You have to understand, Holy Soul sits in a drainage basin that exceeds 600 acres. And the lots that we have constitute 1/10 of 1% of that area. So we're not talking, in the grand scheme of things, we're not talking about much drainage at all. But what we're really concerned about is where our water that comes off our site hits the city system. That's what we want to try to prevent any kind of problems with. So what we are proposed to do is to regulate our runoff by means of a subgrade detention system, pipe system along the west side of the parking lot, and regulate the discharge at a rate that will not exceed the current runoff and will not burden the existing system any more than, we will not add any excess burden to the existing system. In order to do that, we will have our engineers do a more comprehensive study to make sure we understand the drainage. And then we will design the system based on that study in order to accomplish what we hope will be a detention system that will prevent any kind of additional flow into the city system beyond what it can already handle. Now understand, the parish is not obligated to provide stormwater detention. This lot is too small. It does not come under the requirements for that, but the parish is willing to do it because we want, so that we can mitigate any runoff issues that may be caused by the construction of the parking lot. We do not want to be a source of problems for the neighborhood. We've been neighbors for, obviously the parish has been there for a long time. Basically, we want to control the water that leaves our site. In conclusion, again, remind you that Holy Souls has been a good neighbor and an anchor for this neighborhood for 98 years, longer than probably most of the other people up there. We hope that by we're demonstrating our goodwill and our willingness to go over and above any governmental regulations in terms of drainage and landscaping, and that we desire to be a good neighbor ultimately, and that the parking lot will, with time, become an accepted part of the neighborhood fabric. And I thank you for your time and attention.
Greg and Gary always do such a good job at having me come up here is really like feeding a meal of ice cream. What I would suggest to you to think about is one thing. I'm here representing the seniors and the handicapped people at Holy Souls Church. And the reason I'm here is my wife. My wife last November fell. She broke, not at the church, but she broke her ankle. She had 10 pins and 1 plate put in her foot. And for 3 months, I pushed a wheelchair to take her to church. And I would have to take her to a turn because we don't have much, as we know, we don't have much handicap parking. But I'd take her to a turn and then hope that a good person like Donna Berzink or one of the other people of the church saw her there and pushed her in the church. That's how bad it was. So please remember your seniors and your handicap. Thank you very much.
I think we've heard from all those that are for. We'll now transition to those that are against. Tricia Bean. Then after Ms. Tricia, Bailey Battle. After Bailey Battle, Kim Boyle or Boyette. I'll figure this out. Ms. Kim. B-O, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Can't read it.
Thank you, Mayor Scott and members of the board. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. My name is Tricia Bean. I'm the Executive Director of the Quapaw Quarter Association, and we strongly oppose Our Lady of the Holy Souls Catholic Church application to demolish 2 historically significant properties at 1016 and 1020 North Harrison for the construction of a surface parking lot. We urge you to deny the application due to its detrimental impact on the Hillcrest Historic District's integrity and the surrounding neighborhood. This proposal isn't just about zoning. It's about the soul of a neighborhood, about whether we protect what makes Hillcrest one of the most beloved, walkable, and historic parts of Little Rock, or start paving over its past in name of convenience. And we've got to think about the community as a whole, not just the parish or a select few. The properties in question represent irreplaceable architectural assets that maintain exceptional structural and historic integrity. The two-story Dutch colonial revival at 1020 North Harrison exhibits outstanding and structural integrity with well-preserved original features. The craftsman-style residence at 1016 North Harrison demonstrates similar structural soundness based on thorough exterior assessment. These homes are not obsolete. I've actually been in the two Dutch colonial revival home myself and found it to be in great shape. I actually would probably move in it to myself. So I would say these are livable homes, they are restorable homes, and architecturally significant. Their destruction would be a permanent and unnecessary loss. The AHPP has reviewed both properties and determined they would qualify as contributing properties in the National Register Historic District if included in the ongoing Hillcrest boundary expansion. These homes are not theoretical. They are real, valuable, and eligible for state and federal preservation resources. This designation would qualify them for various preservation incentives, including tax credits, both federal and state, preservation grants, and technical assistance programs. The applicant has suggested that the homes could be relocated and has offered a very small amount of funding to support that effort. But this is not a real solution. Relocating historic home typically costs between $60,000 and $150,000. Often that's before even accounting for the land, new foundations, utility reconnections, or permitting. The funding offered does not come close to making a relocation viable on either of these homes, and no location for a move has been secured. And they've also left all of that on the residents of Hillcrest. Just offered up a little bit of money and told the Hillcrest residents to figure it out. Once demolished, these homes are not going to come back to us. And yet the proposal moves to destroy them while violating multiple city regulations and ignoring Little Rock's planning vision. The proposed demolition and parking lot construction directly violates Hillcrest Design Overlay District regulations, which explicitly state no parking shall be allowed in the front yard setback. This regulation serves to preserve the district's historic streetscape, maintain the neighborhood's pedestrian-oriented character, protect the architectural rhythm of the street, safeguard property values through consistent urban design standards. Second, it violates the R2 zoning of the property. Surface parking lots are not permitted in single-family residential districts. The applicant is requesting rezoning not because the use fits, but because it does not fit. And the zoning needs to be changed to accommodate what they're asking. Granting this request doesn't just change one lot, it also sets a precedence. The precedence that zoning and overlay protections can be waived when inconvenient, undermining trust in the very tools that preserve neighborhood character across Little Rock. Third, the project contradicts Little Rock's future land use plan and master street plan, which prioritizes reducing surface parking and impervious coverage, encouraging context-sensitive walkable development, promoting adaptive reuse and historic preservation, and protecting green infrastructure to manage heat and flooding. So it's not just about Hillcrest. Other cities are removing parking lots. We should not be destroying historic homes to create new parking lots. The application presents several critical deficiencies. One, no parking study has been provided to demonstrate the necessity of additional parking spaces. It comes up every time this applicant comes before a commission and now today the board. They offer up a lot of things, but they've never done a parking lot study. No analysis of existing parking utilization patterns has been conducted. Nothing. No evidence of exploring alternative solutions. No evidence. They can talk about stories, but they've not actually done anything. Such as, they could maximize usage of existing church-owned parking facilities. Again, they can say they have, where's the evidence? Implementing shared parking agreements with nearby properties, haven't done that. Developing a comprehensive transportation management plan, haven't done that. Creating satellite parking with shuttle service for peak periods. In exchange for demolishing 2 historic homes and reshaping a residential block, what do we get? Not housing, not green space, not something the community can actually use. We get an empty lot that serves one institution occasionally in their peak periods and at great cost. Environmentally, the damage is clear. Removal of mature tree canopy, increased stormwater runoff and erosion, heat island effects from expanded asphalt, a permanent loss of shade scale and pedestrian comfort. These are not theoretical harms. They are measurable, visible, and long-lasting. The community impact would be disruption of historic streetscape and continuity, reduction in neighborhood housing stock, diminished pedestrian experience, potential decrease in adjacent property values. Furthermore, parishioners will likely continue to seek street parking close to the church entrance. Did you all know that these parking lots are at least a block away? Rendering the proposed demolition both is destructive and ineffective of solving the stated parking challenges. Additionally, these parking lots will not likely be used year-round, primarily at religious holidays, making its impact on historic neighborhood even more unjustifiable. In one of their communications, the applicant described this proposed parking lot as a strong community asset. I've never heard a parking lot described like that. But that claim does not hold up. This would be a privately owned, intermittently used, non-public surface lot that we're adding to our stack of parking lots in Little Rock. It does not create access, housing, or shared value. A true community asset is something like a home, a porch, a tree-lined sidewalk. This plan removes those things and replaces them with a seasonal convenience. Preservation is not about freezing neighborhoods in time, it's about shaping change wisely. Hillcrest is not a museum, it's a living, layered community. But part of what keeps it alive is the fact that it has been protected by policy, by people, and by shared values. The QQA recommends the plan, or sorry, this is from my other one. The QQA recommends that you deny this application, recommend a comprehensive parking study, which I think we can all agree is reasonable, before anything moved forward with this plan. Encourage exploration of preservation-friendly alternatives and support the inclusion of these properties in the expanded National Register District. I urge you to vote no, uphold the zoning, enforce the overlay, protect the homes at 1016 and 1020 North Harrison, and help ensure that Hillcrest and neighborhoods like it remain places where history, housing, and community still matter. Thank you for your time and for your stewardship for the city.
Thank you. Bailey?
Mayor, I'm Kim Battle. I'm the next one. This is my daughter, Bailey. May we defer our order as did the other group?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor and council, good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Cynthia Farrenbaugh, and I live at 1101 North Tyler Street, directly across from the proposed parking lot. I'm here tonight to express my strong opposition to the plan to pave over the current green space and construct an asphalt parking lot in its place. I'm a longtime member of Holy Souls Church, and next Tuesday, my son will graduate from our Holy Souls as part of class of 2025. I'm also one of the 3 women who care for the Holy Souls chicken coop. And being part of this church and school community has been a privilege, and I've truly valued having Holy Souls as a neighbor. Over the years, I've watched as 2 houses on the corner of Jay and Tyler were purchased and demolished by the church. Like many in our neighborhood, I was concerned about what would eventually become of that space. So I was relieved and genuinely pleased when we were told it would become an outdoor garden and classroom for the students. My neighbors and I thought this was a wonderful and thoughtful use of the land. For the past decade, this green space has blossomed into more than a school use resource. It has become a cherished community gathering place. We've watched children play here or play there, trees grow, and neighbors come together. It is one of those rare, treasured features that make our neighborhood so special. That's why it's deeply disheartening to learn that the long-term plan may have always been to turn this vibrant green space into an asphalt parking lot, requiring the tear down of 2 historic homes and removal of 10 to 15 mature trees, and the destruction of historically rich, inviting corner of our neighborhood. And it's not just residents who are concerned. Several staff members and teachers at the school have quietly expressed their own sadness and unease about losing this vital green space for the students. But they feel powerless to speak up, afraid that voicing their concerns could put their jobs at risk. That should speak volumes. I understand that the church owns this property and it's within its legal rights to develop it, but I urge you and the church leadership to consider the broader and lasting impact of this decision. As a faith community that teaches love, stewardship, and respect, I believe we are all called to act in ways that reflect those values. Is a few more parking spaces really worth the cost of destroying something so meaningful to the neighborhood, to the school community, and to the character of our city? Please hear not just my voice tonight, but the voices of neighbors, families, and children who have quietly and joyfully made that green space part of their daily lives. Help us protect what makes this corner of Little Rock such a special place to live. And thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Well, now, just once, are you Mr. Blake Walden?
No, I'm Dennis Fairbaugh.
Okay. Will do. All right.
Thank you,
Making
Mayor.
sure. I just didn't, we're good.
Thank you, board members. I am Dennis Fairbaugh, married to Cynthia, so some of our statements will overlap as we think alike. We first moved in 1101 North Tyler in 2003. Almost every Sunday there was cars parked up and down the streets. Being a member of there, that's never been a problem for masses, funerals, or special events. It's expected if you live there, and before we bought the house, that's where we parked to go to church. Honestly, it's nice to see the families dressed up and to go to church. People you know, people you don't know. You get to say hello and exchange pleasantries. It gives me a sense of community. I'm out there in the yard working on the yard, and they're coming in parking, and we talk and whatnot. When the houses were removed from the lot in question, the one that's already bare, we were worried that what was going to happen. Will there be a big building there, a parking lot? What will happen to our home value? We had just bought it. We were relieved the lots were turned into the garden and the outdoor classroom for the school. However, it's much more than that to the community. We see people bring their children to the chicken coop or just to play around. I see dogs all the time up there sniffing around, playing, fetching. We watch the squirrels and birds frolic around. Rabbits are all over the place in the spring. Falcons that were introduced into the city for pigeon control are scoping the area to get food. The other day I saw a fox cross the street. He was probably going after the chickens. We see people just sitting there relaxing in the hammocks that were provided by the church, which is wonderful. reading a book. They're up there all the time, at all hours of the day. Very respectful. When we talk about these people, they're always so grateful that the space and feel blessed that the church is providing such a beautiful green space for the parishioners and the community. We see and talk to the teachers from Holy Souls, and they tell us how the children love the outdoor classroom, and it's a great environment for learning. There's also reference to the folks as to the history and the charm of Hillcrest, and how the green space, like the other Holy Souls, like the one at Holy Souls, is providing perfect for the neighborhood. An example of how church and neighborhood relationships should be. It preserves the intent of so many rules, laws, ordinances from the city and the neighborhood association who have spent time researching and formulating to preserve historical neighborhoods and the communities for generations to enjoy. I want my son, who is graduating there, and other neighbors' kids to be able to drive by the house they grew up into and remember the joy they had in that neighborhood park or green space. And remember the sense of community that Hillcrest strives for. Not to drive by and not know where our house is because there's a parking lot there or an additional building. It is all too easy nowadays to approve projects like this parking lot without considering how it will affect the people that live 20, 50 feet away. This is our home. These are our neighbors' homes. These are our kids. These are their memories, our future Holy Soul Wabbits. Please don't pave my child's neighborhood memories. I love and respect Holy Souls Church. We worship there. My son goes there. However, I want Holy Souls to remember that Hillcrest embraces them as a community establishment that brings hope, faith, and families together, not a place for a business to provide convenience at the expense of people to provide for their foundation, Thank you for your time, and I appreciate a vote against this.
Thank you. Now I have Blake Walden.
Mayor, if we're gonna keep going multiple speakers, I was willing to forgive the 3-minute time limit that the other side has gone over just as we went over. If that's gonna happen, then we've got a whole group of speakers.
First off, there's not a whole group of speakers that signed up. We can go to the folks who haven't spoken, which is Mr. Wilson. We only go by who signed up.
Okay.
And so that's
fine.
But
I was just gonna say that.
But if Mr. Wilson wants to come up, and then if he wants to defer to you, Mr. Smith, that can happen.
We've got other cards in as well.
Well, we got the cards right. On the cards that matter are the ones that are right up here. So Mr. Wilson hasn't spoken yet. Does Mr. Wilson want to speak and or defer to allow someone else to speak?
I would love to defer to allow someone else to speak.
That's fine.
Thank you, Mayor.
Just keeping everybody fair and the rules together, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, and everyone, thank you, Director Phillips. Everyone, just so you're aware, I'm just going in the order of the cards that I have here, and I got a lot that are against, and I only had like 5 or 6 that were for, and so that's the reason why you'll ultimately, no matter what, because Mr. Wilson, I think there may be somebody else who may be able to defer, but eventually, all these cards that are against will have more time because there were more cards that signed up. Everybody understand? Understood. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Charlie Swan, and I appreciate y'all's service to the city and being here and considering this. I'll try to be brief because I think that you are aware of the significant issues about trees and stormwater and things like that, so that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. I'm here to tell you that I am a mom of 4 boys, and they're 8, 6, 4, and 2 years old, and I attend Holy Souls Church with my husband. He grew up in that church, grew up in Hillcrest. I lived in Hillcrest for a number of years. My mother-in-law lives there, so I'm well aware of the historical significance of it and how beautiful of a space that it is. I'm also here to tell you, as a parishioner of the church and a mom of 3 of my boys that go to school there, we do have a parking issue, and it's more than some theoretical thing. And respectfully, I forgot the lady's name that spoke in opposition, but this is not a seasonal issue. We have, there's not a season for weddings or funerals or for deaths or for baptisms. That happens all year round. There's not really a season for school. Of course, the school year is busier, but we have events with the kids in the summer, and 93 spaces for the amount of parishioners, the amount of school-age children that we have, our staff and our teachers, people that come visit the church often, it's simply inadequate. I've had friends comment that come and visit Holy Souls as a potential school for their own children, and they've made the comment that parking in and of itself was a deciding factor of not sending their kids to school there because it's difficult. I can tell you from experience that getting 4 kids dressed and ready for church and there on time and thinking about having to shuttle or park really far away is hard. It's hard for us to get kids in and out of car seats on the street, those streets that don't have sidewalks, or parking down the hill on I Street and getting everybody out while being afraid that maybe my car door is going to be hit, or, I'm taking the toddler out of the car. That's not a theoretical issue. That's a real issue that affects a real person and real families. I know you heard from an elderly member of our parish, but we have an inadequate number of handicap spots, and it is difficult for the people of our church that are handicapped. Same thing with people of schools. If I run up there during a school day because I've got to give a kid a lunch or pick up a sick kid or go to an event, it is difficult to find a spot. It's, again, a street parking issue, and I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm speaking for a lot of parents and a lot of parishioners. I think that the plan, if you'll see it and study it, it presents the least offensive way that we could go about this, and we have conceded a lot. It's going to be aesthetically pleasing. We appreciate the foliage and the plants and the trees, and we've tried to be very cognizant about that. I'd also, I guess, like to say that we've been a good community neighbor and would like to continue to do that. I'm not sure if the gentleman that spoke before me is aware of it, but he placed an enormous significance on the school garden and outdoor classroom, which is one of my absolute favorite things about our school, and the kids thrive there, and so does the community. And I'm not sure that he realizes this, or some of the opposition. By the way, I didn't get the memo in green. I'm supposed to be wearing red tonight, so forgive that. But we're going to continue even after the parking. No, you can keep it on. It's fine.
I was wondering, Director Webb, if they switched your vote. I didn't know that some folks were that persuasive with Director Webb.
I'd just like to note that with respect to the school garden, I'm not sure if they're aware of this, but we will continue to have a school garden and outdoor classroom. That's very clearly noted in the plans, so everybody can come and still enjoy that, even if this parking ordinance gets passed, and that's what I'm here to ask you to do for our kids and for our parishioners, for our teachers and our elderly folks within the parish. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Goodhart, do you want to defer your time to Mr. Gary Smith? You can defer you want to defer your time to Mr. Smith?
I'm speaking for, did you want somebody against go next, or can
I'm controlling it. Do you want to speak?
Mayor, thank you, and board members, thank you for your time. I'll try to also be brief. I'm a native of Little Rock. I've attended Our Lady of Holy Souls Church for 34 years. I grew up in the Oak Forest area, and I'm certainly familiar with Madison Heights, or what used to be Highland Park, as the other individuals spoke about. I lived not far away. I've practiced as an attorney for 39 years, and I had the pleasure of retiring just last May. 27 years were with a state agency, which I did what Mr. Carpenter does, and I counseled a board like yourself on legal matters. And I'm also a deacon at Holy Souls Church and Our Lady of Good Counsel Church in Oak Forest. My wife, grandchildren, all my friends, relatives are parishioners. Many are parishioners at Holy Souls. They're there on weekdays and weekends. It's a lot more activities than just weekend services. And so we're coming to and from the area pretty regularly. You have to walk several blocks through the neighborhood in many instances, or on many occasions. But we're attending things besides with the church and school, in weddings and funerals, which have been mentioned, a litany of other things. There are meeting for seniors, there's choir practices, Wednesday rosary, Bible study groups, the Hillcrest Lenten series services with all the churches in the Hillcrest area. We enjoy hosting that, and unfortunately, we can't accommodate all the people that wish to come and attend. And so we go to some of the other churches there in Hillcrest, and we enjoy the fact that we can park closer to those churches. But there's just, again, a tremendous amount of activities that are there. So when individuals would say to you that this is only needed on a weekend, that's just really simply not the case. I would hope that as you've heard about the need, parishioners have been hearing about this parking expansion for quite a few years, and that have anticipated this, alleviating the parking situation. But besides the physical hardship for some to park a distance, including, as you've heard, on I Street, which is very steep, it's a safety issue walking down the narrow Tyler Street and Harrison Street. And again, you've heard, they have no sidewalks. But my grandchildren live 4 blocks from there, so they're Hillcrest residents. I think they live near some of the neighbors. And they enjoy living there, and I enjoy visiting them there. But they, many occasions, walk the 4 blocks to and from school. And I dearly would like that they could walk on sidewalks or not have to walk in the middle of Tyler Street in order to reach their school. But it really, truly is a safety concern. And anything that would alleviate getting some of the cars off of the street during those hours would be wonderful. And this parking lot expansion would do that. It would accommodate doing that. So from a safety standpoint, I think the parking is beneficial. For some of the fears that neighbors have voiced, this is going to be an aesthetically pleasing site. There's a chicken coop that somebody referenced. I know they're trying to relocate that. They're trying to retain as many of the amenities that have existed to continue those, but simply relocate them. And so I would hope you wouldn't allow certain fears about the future to basically override the need or the, for both physical accommodation and safety. I would certainly ask our neighbors to please be charitable towards your neighbors, your brothers and sisters nearby who basically have this need. The only other thing I would mention, and I know you have excellent counsel in Mr. Carpenter, I know him and to be a fine attorney, but he should also tell you that the law does in this instance favor granting the plan development approval. When you've had other plan zone development approvals for parking expansion in the city, especially in the Hillcrest area, other churches nearby, this decision would be consistent with those. In addition, law, both federal and state, support it. The Arkansas Freedom of Restoration Act in 2015 and the Federal Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Person Act of 2000. Both of those favor allowing a land use development where it's being done by a synagogue, a mosque, a church, a Buddhist temple, whatever it may be, when there's a need and they are meeting otherwise the local conditions for a rezoning. And so here your department staff have recommended this. It does approve and it is consistent with your decisions to approve other planned developments. And so I would just encourage you to kind of continue in the same vein, but also know that the law is in support of a favorable decision. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. We'll now go to Blake Walden. And I just want to share, we have, the rest of the cards we have are 19 cards against, 1 for. I will ask those that are against to please expedite as best as possible so I do not have to invoke a timeline. But we got 19 against and then just 1 left for the for side.
Blake is my husband. He's downstairs in the overflow area. I'm Vicki Walden, but we do have a list of people who can present this so you don't have to hear all of us, if you would like.
I would love that.
So I'll defer on behalf of him, if that's okay?
If you can speak on behalf of him as well.
I can, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Do you want to go speak?
Oh, no, I'll defer to our list of people.
Sure.
Okay.
Is it Ann Ballard Bryan?
It's someone named Keith? Keith Lynch.
All right. And thank you, Mrs. Walden. And Mr. Walden downstairs. With the 3,499 people downstairs. I'm getting better with my jokes, aren't I?
Dr. Capierce, I'm violating my doctor's orders because I want you to be able to see me and hear me clearly. You know, this is really, it's really actually pretty amazing and pretty wonderful. I'm so thrilled to see how you've handled this meeting and are handling it. And I'm really pleased to see Boy Scouts here. What a great, I'm sure you're from the parish, and just to see the sense of people who really care about our city, and each of you, of course, as well, and I thank you for that. You know, I've lived in Hillcrest for 40 years. I've lived across the street from the church for 30 years. My name's Keith Lynch. I live at 5224 I Street, which is really the corner of I and North Harrison. And, you know, I'm a what they call a 50,000 hour guy. You know, as an engineer, if you have a certain number of hours of expertise, you become a subject matter expert. Well, I've got 50,000 hours watching what's been going on at Holy Souls over the last 30 years. And I suppose I'm probably Holy Souls' worst nightmare, forced into retirement by handicapped engineer with time to see incongruities in the plan. You know, folks from the church stood up and talked about their case and said, it's almost as if their institution's survival depends on this parking lot. Of course, we're passionate that its neighborhood depends on it not being done. And the young mom that spoke kind of reminded me of a young mom I saw out in front of the church there. She was getting her 3 kids in the SUV, and 2 of them were obedient, but the third little guy, well, he was tired and hungry and angry and shouting and screaming and crying. You know what that sounds like. It's quite a scene. The mom's trying to reason with a toddler. It's like the worst nightmare. But the truth finally came out, and I heard him scream it half a block away. And here's what he screamed. I want what I want. That's the point. I want what I want. Well, in a way, that's kind of like Holy Souls. They want what they want. And I understand they believe they need what they want. They believe that for like 20 years or more now. They're like a dog that's got a hold of a bone and has chewed it till it doesn't have a shadow left. But you're not going to get away from it without a fight. But we love the folks at Holy Souls. Like the mom loved that screaming little guy who wanted what he wanted. But it doesn't change the fact that what they want is a bad thing. It's bad for Hillcrest. And just now, a gentleman mentioned the 300 families that live in the immediate neighborhood. You know, again, a retired engineer with too much time, that's like your worst nightmare. I went through the Holy Souls registry and, you know, did that database thing that engineers do and spreadsheet. And my calculations show that about 8% of their Holy Souls members actually live in Hillcrest proper, 8%. Not 300 families, 8%. And that's a very vital thing to understand about Holy Souls. Holy Souls started as a mission church in the 1920s. But it's transitioned into what's really a commuter church. People mostly come in from a lot of nice zip codes. They're nice people, we like them. But they're not Hillcrest residents, so they drive in. And the problem exists because they are a commuter church, not a walking church in the neighborhood. That's not a knock against them, it's just reality. So that's what they've sort of created their problem. The things we've talked about, the runoff and the traffic and the loss of habitat, the historic homes, all that, those are symptoms. They're just symptoms. The problem is the sprawl. When Holy Souls started out, I think I sent you guys a packet with aerial photographs from 1943, 1960, 1984, 2010, and 2025. Now, we're not allowed to use your fine system here. Wish I could show everybody, but you guys got them and you get the point. 1943, it was 5 lots. There was no parking lot. It was a mission church. By 1960, it was 1.75 city blocks. They bought an entire city block in 1958, and it was all trees, and they clear cut it. Why did they buy an entire city block? What happened in Arkansas in 1957, 58 to make them buy an entire city block? Well, that's the city block that Holy Soul School is sitting on now. So these things have a history. They grow and they add on. It's a 1.75 city blocks. Then by 1984, it's 2.5 city blocks. Then by 2010, it's 4 city blocks. And those blocks are not habitat. 80% rooftop, blacktop, cement, or astroturf. That's just what it is. It's a highly developed area. It's physically almost as big as War Memorial Stadium. Not the parking lots, but the stadium itself. That's how big it is. It's a massive development that started as a small mission church. That's why they need a parking lot. That is not consistent with what Hillcrest is as a neighborhood. You know, we were here in this meeting, and I watched a man who wrote the Hillcrest overlay rules stand in this very spot and tell the commission that the plan they submitted does not conform to the spirit or the letter of the law of the historic overlay. It doesn't. Well, those are the kind of things where we start to say as neighbors, does the rule of regulations and law mean anything? Or is it just if you're powerful enough, or if you have enough money, or if you have enough influence, or if you can say enough nice things, then you can get your way? We're asking you not to approve this, not because we don't love Holy Souls, but because it's the wrong thing for the neighborhood, and I believe the wrong thing even for the church. Now, I know they shared how they need handicapped access, and I believe I know a little bit about being handicapped because I'm breathing through a tube of oxygen, right? But they just built a new handicapped access, and I watch people pull in and use the access. And I see a few cars pull through there, and I'm grateful for it. And I hope it solves this gentleman's problem. It's long needed, and we did not object to that. We're not against Holy Souls. They built it, and it was fine. But this thing they're going to do is going to irrevocably alter the nature of our neighborhood, and it'll never come back. When I stood out there the other night and I watched an owl coast through the sky and land over there in that area, I thought to myself, last time, when I watch kids up there playing in the green space, or I watch the sun set behind those trees and I think, there goes that shade. When I think about those houses, like the house, the Gambrel house that's been talked about, I know the guy, I talked to him, who did the remodeling on that house in 1942. He lived there. Those are the kind of things that will be lost forever. I appreciate Holy Souls. I appreciate their people. We're friends with many of the people who go there. But this idea is not good for Hillcrest, and it's not even really good for Holy Souls, although they are certain that it is, just like that little boy who said, I want what I want. Please vote against this. I'm begging you. Thank you for the time.
Mr. Lynch, did you speak for Mrs. Janelle Lynch?
My wife, yes.
All right, thank you. Ann Ballard Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor. Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm Ann Ballard Bryan. I live in Little Rock. I was a former resident of Hillcrest. We brought our newborn daughter home to a little house on Woodlawn. The words aesthetically pleasing and parking lot are oxymorons. In my 62 years of life, I've never seen an aesthetically pleasing parking lot. And as far as the historic fabric of the two houses that they want to demolish, I'm a historic preservation architectural historian. With all of the resources that are available to have those to be contributing structures and our crisis in housing that we have, it seems a shame to demolish two perfectly viable structures when there are people who need to be housed. I also attend a church that's landlocked, and we have very few parking spaces, We are still able to manage parking through agreements with other places, shuttle buses, and as a community of faith, we really take care of our people with mobility issues getting to and from the church. So I'm asking you to vote against this because it's just bad for the neighborhood and all the cities in the United States that don't revitalize, they die. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Arthur.
Hi. Thank you
Hi.
for your time and your service. My name is Christy Arthur. I live in Hillcrest now. I live on Palm Street, adjacent to a rather large church that has underground parking and level parking. I used to teach at Holy Souls, and my husband dropped me off, and then I ran home or walked home because parking was not available at that time. That was in the early 90s. We are in a different place now environmentally than we were even in the 90s. Does everyone know that there's also on Realtor.com and Zillow.com, they have walkability factors and schools and things like that listed in the area that you want to buy a home. Well, now they have a heat factor. And at that particular spot where you want to, where the Holy Souls would like to remove the two houses, the heat factor is already elevated. It's a 6 out of 10 and predicted to be elevated even more. I don't think that I have to stand up here and say our world is getting hotter. As caretakers and environmentally minded people, we need to help our children. I have no children, but I just can't see how a parking lot that's not even going to fix what is needed, which is even more additional parking, is something that is good when what is there now is good. Every speaker has talked about studies. A really easy study would be a carpool study. How many people are actually riding in the cars to church and to weddings, to funerals? I've seen a lot of people that 2 people get out of a car, an SUV, when easily 6 people could fit in. I think carpooling should be encouraged, and looked at, and you could have a drop-off zone for people with handicap needs or trouble walking. It could be an incentive for people who carpool. Maybe they could have a closer parking spot. Talked about the trees. I'm almost positive that the canopy that's currently there cannot sustain the amount of CO2 emissions in the area now. Maybe it did 98 years ago, but not now. An environmental study would help everyone see that, and I haven't heard that. I know that Holy Souls has done a lot of work on, you know, the parking structure and things like that, but environmental study, we have to think about that. We can't just keep glossing over that. It's too important. It's our lives. And that's all I have to say. Thank you. Vote no.
Mayor, in spite of the fact that I have a whole page from my 91-year-old mother who wanted to make sure that I communicated her opposition to the board, we would like to present one last speaker on behalf of the opposition, if that's okay.
Well,
Bill.
who, well, because like, Bill who? Has he signed up?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening, Board. I will try to do this quickly. My name is Bill Forbes. I live at 1207 North Polk. I previously lived in the 1100 block of North Tyler, diagonally across from the schools of green space that this parking lot will replace. I am a general contractor. I also once worked for City of Little Rock Engineering. I would like to address the stormwater management and street maintenance. This area is the watershed for part of Coleman Creek, not the entire place. The neighborhood directly west of the church and the school receives 100% runoff now from their existing roofs and parking lot. All the runoff goes to North Taylor. And I think some of you received emails that showed some of those videos from April the 30th, the evening April the 30th, and how much runoff there was. North Taylor's topography for a watercourse is a floodway between evergreen and woodlawn, with a mixture of, well, floodway, floodplain, and there's some valley wall in there on the west side. So there are 28 houses that I counted that are in floodplain or floodway. My wife looked up some of the addresses on the Redfin real estate site, and like what Christy was saying, they have a flood risk category. Also, those houses on North Taylor were listed as severe or major for flooding. Phase 1 of the proposed parking lot development measures 14,247 square feet. I got that from the sketch. All the future runoff water goes west down J to Taylor, increasing the flooding risk and maintenance responses. I'd like to also speak about the aesthetics. And the trees were mentioned. And as a general contractor, special care would have to be made on those trees to keep them. There would no equipment in the drip line. They'd have to be maintained and watched the entire time. They might need to hire an arborist, and maybe they're willing to do that. The street grade for walkability, there's not a grading plan, but it looks like the existing grade will remain. So it's about 4 feet above the street elevation. So if you're walking, you're going to see a parking lot, tires, suspensions, a shrub, and bumpers. Lastly, this has been brought up also, but the asphalt temperature, just in the middle of summer, in mid-afternoon, the asphalt will be 120 to 140 degrees. So it is a heat sink, a large one. To conclude, I want to read a paragraph from the City of Little Rock Land Alteration Regulations. This is section 29.187, entitled Finding. Development activity causing the displacement of large amounts of earth and tree cover. Significant problems resulting from such development include flooding, soil erosion, and sedimentation, unstable slopes, and impaired quality of life. These problems are a concern because of their negative effects on the safety and general welfare of the community. And I attended the planning committee meeting also when this was voted down. I did not hear anything on detention until tonight. And detention to me is one of the main things that needs to happen if that parking lot's going to go in. And because of North Taylor and the remainder of the neighborhood. So I would like for you to maintain the R2 zoning. Thank you very much.
Mr. Larry Taylor, who's on the for side, do you want to defer to Mr. Smith, or you want to?
I'd like to speak.
And that is the final card on the for side.
I have one.
What's your name?
Peter Stabnick.
Let me check. You do. That's the final card. Okay.
Mayor Scott, directors. My name's Larry Taylor. I'm a Wabbit. My children are Wabbits. My grandchildren are Wabbits. I've been involved with Holy Souls a long, long time. When I think of Hillcrest, which is a delightful neighborhood, I have to go back to the planning. Hillcrest was developed by the streetcar lines. That's the only thing that made Hillcrest viable. By the 40s, it was built out, and there were a number of families that were basically one-car families. Now, if you statistically, and I'll always say that 42% of all statistics are made up on the spot, but I got this one from the internet. The average car load per residence in Hillcrest is 2.1. So we've watched Hillcrest evolve from no cars to lots of cars. I'd like to correct your response. Our professional planning commission did approve this ordinance, and they're pretty good at what they do. So I just hope that we can also think about the wonderful, delightful city park 3 blocks down the street, Prospect Terrace, that's flat. It's got playground equipment. It's got everything a family could want for their children. So that's a viable option. I just hope that we can maintain a friendship with the neighborhood, and that the neighborhood could understand that, yes, there were pictures taken from 1955, all these years, that all those pictures in that development just shows that Holy Souls is a real anchor of the community, and people from all over the community want to come there and be there and send their children there. And it's not too much to ask for them to have safe parking. And please, listen to your planning commission, approve this ordinance, and let us get on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm still keeping the order. Mr. Pete Stabnick. That'll be the final card for the for side.
Other than the defer, right, Mayor? I just deferred order.
Now, Mr. Wilson, when we ask for defer, that means you're deferring someone to allow to use your time. Are you trying to reclaim your time?
I asked for deference on order, yes. I'll be very brief, but I did sign up.
We'll demonstrate some grace, Mr. Wilson. All right.
Thank you. Most of what I was going to say tonight has already been said, and I believe I've got friends and acquaintances on both sides of this room. Most of you know my wife Cindy, grew up in Hillcrest, just a few blocks from the church. We were married, 45 years ago, and I joined the church when I moved to Little Rock, and we've raised our kids at Holy Souls and in the church. And it's no secret that we've been very involved all these years. And as an aside, I'm also one of the past presidents of the Hillcrest Merchants Association. Currently, we live right next door to Grace Lutheran Church and across from Mount St. Mary's on Hillcrest. And frankly, I would love for them to have more off-street parking because, on Sunday mornings, I can't get out of my driveway to go down to Kavanaugh. And during school days at Mount, there's, the traffic's horrendous. And also because we're at Holy Souls all the time, many evenings, most days at some point, we frankly do not have enough parking. And I'm from Detroit, and so, it's an asphalt jungle. Every street has a sidewalk. That's not Little Rock's problem or case. But when we have funerals during the week, and a lot of those funerals, the families want a luncheon, and so you've got some of those people staying for the luncheon, and there's only 9 parking spaces or whatever. I mean, that's just not right. If you want to be a good steward to your community and your faith community and the people who support your community, I mean, and it's no secret that the church has 3 steep streets around the church. Harrison's the only one that's relatively flat. I mean, it's a big problem. And, it's obviously a thriving faith community. It's been around for almost 100 years. And I just say, I'm in favor of it. I think we need it, and I think it's going to get a lot more use. And I'm sorry that there's so much opposition to it, but that's my story. I'm sticking with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilson?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. I do appreciate you all's attention to this issue. It's obviously very important and something that a lot of folks have a lot of passion for. I am Patrick Wilson. I do have on a red shirt. I love the area too. I love Hillcrest. I lived in Hillcrest for 20 years until just a few years ago. I sent 2 boys through Holy Souls. And because God has a sense of humor, I now have a daughter there in kindergarten. 4 points for you just real quickly, because I know that you've heard a lot of detail from Mr. Smith and Mr. Flake and Mr. Peckham on the architecture issues. First, this is not a strip center parking lot that we're talking about. I don't love surface parking. I get those concerns, but we're talking about access to a house of worship that's been there, been a solid part of the neighborhood for 100 years. Second, we've heard a little bit of detail about the numbers, but I would just emphasize that even if both phases of this are approved and 50-something parking spaces are added for Holy Souls, that would still leave us about 100 parking spaces less than the neighboring Methodist church that is in Hillcrest. That Methodist church in the heart of Hillcrest has a huge parking deck. We're not talking about anything like that. We're talking about adding 50-something parking spaces on property that we already own. Third, just real quickly, there was discussion earlier about loss of green space and loss of the garden. It was mentioned earlier, but I want to be real clear. The garden will not be eliminated. It will just be moved. The garden will be moved. There were discussions about trees. I'll mention just quickly. There were 13 mature anchoring trees that we have pledged to save as part of this parking lot construction. Under the law, we do not, as the property owner, have to save those trees. But we're trying to be good neighbors. We're trying to work with the Residents Association, and we're committed to saving those trees. There was a mention earlier about detention. Others have spoken on that. I'll leave that to them. Final point, it should be clear from a lot of the discussion that you all have heard, a lot of us with small children can attest to this very, very strongly. We have to have more parking. It's a safety issue. If this were just about historic preservation, I could see it, but this is a safety issue. It's a safety issue for pedestrians. It's a safety issue for emergency vehicles trying to get to Holy Souls School, Holy Souls Church, or some of these neighbors. So with that, I would disrespectfully ask that you please vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Lucy Sour? To who?
To anybody who wants to go next.
Wait. Well, we're just going to defer, all right? Heather European?
Hi, thank you for hearing us. I am not really prepared. I'm just glad I made it here tonight. I live on North Taylor. I'm at the bottom of the hill. If you've ever driven from Evergreen, cutting between University and Kavanaugh, there's that yellow light warning you of the bottom of that hill. I've lived there over 30 years. 27 years ago, they put a 12-foot drain right in our front yard to accommodate all the drainage that came from projects that were built up above Evergreen. So water was flowing down. I think the first 6 years we lived there. It moved cars, a kid drowned, trees, lots of water. I assume that those projects that were built up there were approved and that there was some planning that was approved, yet it did not solve the water problems. We still get lots of water. Just before I came here tonight, it was starting to rain, and I said, oh, I better go get my garbage can. The road might flood. I pulled out a recycle bin from a storm drain. Essentially, the current system of water drainage cannot deal with the current water that comes down. It just doesn't do it. The storm drains are full. If you walk behind houses on Polk, there's a drain there. It is often jammed up. It does not manage the water that's there now. I just don't see any way paving and creating more water coming down to North Taylor it's not sustainable. We live there. Every house on our road, the city has come in behind our house and fixed the drain. When we moved there 30 years ago, it was 4 feet wide. Now it's 12 feet wide. We have a double lot. So we have had to build a 12-foot wide deck to access our double lot. 2 years ago, the city came in and put riprap or whatever those big rocks are because we said, listen, we've lost 6 feet of our lot. They've done that all along the houses behind us on North Taylor. There is a very serious drainage problem on North Taylor. I just really would like for you to oppose this. I see no solution. Thank you.
Mary Boaz?
I'm going to defer.
All right. Clay Mercer?
Defer.
All right. Cheryl Avance? All right. Bill Nolan? Let's keep it rolling. All right. Antoinette Johnson? Oh, I thought I was lucky.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I'll be brief. I'm Dr. Antoinette Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the Hillcrest Residents Association, and we would very much like for you to oppose this application. We're here to support the residents of Hillcrest. Many times it's been mentioned about the Design Overlay District, so I want to shed a little bit of light on why that was created. we worked really hard as a community to get this through the city and have a lot of support in the neighborhood for it around 20 years ago. And one of the reasons that we created this was to preserve the historic character of our community. It's the main reason why. But part of that is to encourage a pedestrian-oriented community and to make sure that we're able to keep our historic architecture. So as part of that, as someone who actually spoke for the parking lot, did explain that part of our DOD is actually asking and is required to reduce the parking we reduce the amount of parking required as opposed to what the city requires. And that is because we want to have less parking in the neighborhood, because when we get more parking, people tend to tear down houses, and we end up getting more parking lots, which destroys our historic fabric. And we're also asking that instead of destroying more of the architecture in our neighborhood, that they please really look at creating a parking plan by using other existing parking lots that the Catholic Church already owns in our neighborhood that are not being used at the same time that they are needing more parking. They've got one that's only a couple of blocks away that's not being used on Sundays. It's not being used during C&E, Christmas and Easter, and that's at Mount St. Mary's. They're also referring to another church in the neighborhood, the Methodist Church, that has a large parking lot, that has underground parking. It's 2 layers of parking. When that church tore down an entire block of housing for that, the neighborhood also came out very hard against it. Unfortunately, we lost that fight and we lost an entire block of housing, but we will say at least they built lots on top of each other instead of continuing to tear down more blocks of housing within the neighborhood. So that we're asking you please to deny this. We don't need to lose any more historic fabric in our community. We are a historic district, and the Design Overlay District was created exactly to save this historic character of our neighborhood, which this is going to help chip away at. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tracy Tackett. Don't apologize. It's your civic duty.
Thank you. I live directly across the street from where the parking lot's going to go in. I moved there 8 months ago, and then I got my letter, and so I decided to do a parking survey of my own. I have walked the streets during First Communion, Easter, and Christmas, as well as all school events. There is street parking available during all of these events, even after the services begin. There was parking available on Harrison, but people were parked on the hill at this First Communion on Sunday. I don't understand it, but I acknowledge that funeral parking can be an issue if there are services while school is in session. Let's say, I don't know, do you have a funeral every week? Okay, so let's say we have a funeral every week. Roughly half of those are going to be when school is not in session.
Well, we're not gonna start. We're not gonna start and call a response.
Okay.
Let's just.
Half the year, school's not in session. 178 days is how many days the kids go to school. So half of the year, there's no school at Mount St. Mary's. There's no school at Holy Souls. Mount St. Mary's has 118 parking spaces. The walk from Mount St. Mary's by a big girl with a dog took 2 minutes and 23 seconds for me to walk. The new parking lot will take 1 minute to walk to the church, saving 1 minute and 15 seconds of people's time. That's not a big deal. If you make the lot in the back for elderly and handicapped and ask your young people to park in the Mount St. Mary's parking lot during church functions, they have a sidewalk, they have stairs. It's better for pedestrian walkway anyway. We don't care if people are parked in front of our streets. People park in front of my house because I'm closer to the church than the parking lot would be, and I'm closer to the gym. Back parking lot remains empty. My street remains full during all gym events. It's not that big a deal. We don't care, but there's a parking solution. But once there's no going back once you tear down a garden and put asphalt. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gibson Garrett. All right, okay. Hannah Rimmel. All right. Stephanie Newton. All right. Let's see on this last one. Heather Mercer. Oh, all right. All right. Yes, Mr. Lynch. I'll show you the same grace I showed Mr. Wilson. You can speak for your wife.
I'll be extremely brief.
All right.
Just to make it clear here, someone turned to me and said I was mistaken about this, the vote. It was approved by the zoning and planning. It was not approved by zoning and planning. The zoning and planning staff recommended approval, and at the vote, it failed because it was a 5-3 vote. 5-4, 3 against, 2 were not present, and there's 1 open slot. So it was not approved by zoning and planning. It was disapproved. I was in this room. I sat right here and watched him say disapproved. So just to get that part clear. And the other thing I would say is, I've lived there 30 years, and I've heard these arguments about parking and safety and so forth. I've never seen an injury in 30 years, unaware of any injuries or things like that happening around the school from these supposed horrible parking situations. And I've watched last week, 5 days ago, May 1st, they have a big May Day celebration there. It's one of the busiest, if not the busiest. And I watch people park all up and down every street. There is enough on-street parking. Put handicap parking signs on the immediate street parking slots there. There should be handicap signs there. We're fine with that. But don't tell us that there are no other solutions. As several people have said, there are plenty of good solutions. We're just asking them to actually approach it reasonably instead of coming to us and saying, here's the plan, take it or leave it. We're just asking for some due process. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Webb.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. And first, I want to thank everybody who came here tonight. I have 3,500 constituents downstairs, plus a whole bunch here. And I have some constituents who live in another neighborhood, but who are here in support of Holy Souls. And I appreciate y'all being here as well. And I do want to, I watched the faces while people were talking. And I do want to make one comment, because I know it's difficult for people who go to church there and who have taught there to oppose it. And I did get a number of emails that were not sent to the board, that were sent to me privately from people who work there, who oppose it, but they did not want to say anything in public. Most of us were not on the board. I heard some people say there was no opposition when Pulaski Heights United Methodist built those parking lots, and most of us were not on the board at that time when that happened. Second, I have never heard of a parking lot being an amenity or something that would contribute to the fabric of the neighborhood until tonight. And I have read many, many books on city planning and what makes a great city, and I have never heard of a parking lot doing that. And in fact, last week I was reading an article in the Washington Post about trees, when it talked about how removing trees, and we know that's been a problem in the Heights because we have an ordinance that pertains to the Heights and trees, that the temperature will go up based on how many trees we remove, 8 to 11 degrees. And that is very troubling. And some of the folks who spoke against the parking lot talked about the increase in temperature. And then that leads into the drainage. As somebody who knows that area very well and knows every drainage request that we have in that area, even if it were a medium issue, that is very worrisome to me. And I can tell you, I have a lot of drainage problems in that area and a lot of requests, and we don't have the money to fix the problems that we have. So whether it's a minor issue or a major issue, it is a big issue. And I have heard a lot of good suggestions. I mean, I park a couple of minutes away from my church and I walk over there. But I know that we have all of the places that are closer to my church for people who need assistance or for people who are elderly and need a closer spot. And so I would hope that we could have explored some of those things in more detail. I'm having trouble reading my notes, and I'll just kind of wrap up with this, because week after week, we sit here on the board and we have our board members talking about how our neighborhoods are the heart of the city, our neighborhoods. And we know from studies that most people are not engaged in their community, and I'm glad we have people engaged on both sides of this issue tonight. But our neighborhoods are the heart of the community. And so when we think about the 3,500 people downstairs and all the people here who oppose a parking lot, who live here 24/7, I just do not see how we can continue to talk week after week about how we support neighborhoods and how the heart of our community, and approve a parking lot that we don't know for sure is really necessary. So thank you, Mayor, and I oppose this, obviously.
All right. We've listened to both sides extensively, and we appreciate everyone with their civic duty, as well as their materials that they've brought to the meeting today, and everyone downstairs as well. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. I believe I heard ayes have it. There's a roll call from Director Webb.
Director Peck. Director Hines. Director Lewis. Director Campuris. Director Phillips. Director Adcock. Director Richardson is absent. Director Webb. Vice Mayor Wyrick. We have 5, 4, 3. Oh, I'm so sorry. Director Miller. I missed your name at the top. Director Miller. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 4, 3 against, and 1 absent.
So the motion passes 6. No, motion passes 6-3. Madam Clerk, if you would. Madam Clerk, you read 24.
An ordinance to. Do you want me to wait? I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna wait.
Madam Clerk, 24.
Okay. An ordinance to amend the Master Street Plan, Little Rock, Arkansas Ordinance Number 22,180 to relocate a proposed collector extension south of Pride Valley Road near Piper Lane and for other purposes. Second reading.
No, we're gonna keep going. We're just going to second reading. There's a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to amend the Master Street Plan, Little Rock, Arkansas Ordinance Number 22,180 to relocate a proposed collector extension south of Pride Valley Road near Piper Lane. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we had 3 readings. We got a question from Director Hines.
Brad, I had a question on this.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Yes, sir.
So on this, I see that the Worthens are the applicant.
Yes.
Okay. And the property owners to the south, Real Properties, they were notified, no objections from
No
them
objections.
Because
Yes,
I know we've already got one lawsuit in this area. I want to make sure we don't.
Yes,
we
sir.
don't cause another one.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I'll be supportive of that. Thank you.
All right, we've had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item 25 for the second time.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a revised plan development commercial titled Tisdale Property Self-Storage Revised PDC located at 8500 West Markham Street. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development and to establish a revised plan development commercial titled Tisdale Property Self-Storage Revised PDC located at 8500 West Markham Street. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, you have your hand up, Director Adcock. You don't? All right, members of the board, we've had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Aye. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 26.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Chenal Planning District at the southeast and southwest corner of Highway 10 and Shalimont Drive from residential low to neighborhood commercial. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
An ordinance to amend the land use plan in the Chenal Planning District at the southeast and southwest corner of Highway 10 and Shalimont Drive from residential low to neighborhood commercial. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item 27 for the second time.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Members of the board, we've had, there was a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
An ordinance to reclassify property located in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 28 for the second time.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 4 of the Little Rock Code of Ordinances, 1988, to provide for the adoption of the reverse internet auction option for the purchase of goods and services and for other purposes. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 4, Division 4 of the Little Rock Code of Ordinances to provide for the adoption of the reverse internet auction option for the purchase of goods and services and for other purposes. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Members of the board, Madam Clerk, if you would, please read item number 29 for the second time.
An ordinance to abolish and dissolve the City of Little Rock, Arkansas Residential Housing and Public Facilities Board, prescribing other matters relating thereto, to declare an emergency. Second reading.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Third and final reading.
An ordinance to abolish and dissolve the City of Little Rock, Arkansas Residential Housing and Public Facilities Board, prescribing other matters relating thereto, to declare an emergency. Third and final reading.
Members of the board, we've had 3 readings. Are there any questions? Any questions? All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it.
Emergency clause.
Emergency clause. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to go to executive session?
Hey, Mayor, before we go to executive session, can I
Yes, sir.
make an announcement? Any of the board members have issue with any of the professional services under $50,000 report?
See none? All right, there's a motion and a second, go to executive session. Aye. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Recess. Coming back to order from recess for boards and commissions, Arts and Culture Commission, Lisa Carver, Ashley Godwin. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Board of Adjustment, Frank Allison and James Harkins. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Land Bank Commission, Kimberly Lee. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Sustainability Commission, Rachel Furman, Nate Purry, Yuta Meyer, Dane Batson, Zacchaeus Powell, Tamara Walker. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Water Reclamation Commission, Molly McNulty. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Little Rock Zoo Board of Governors, Jenny Blankenship, Adrian Collins, Jeff Markinson. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. MacArthur Military History Museum Commission, Jeffrey Ellis McKinley. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Public Safety Commission, Alex Lopez, CJ Fowler. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Racial Cultural Diversity Commission, Benjamin Washington and Mahidi Rajib. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Sister Cities Commission, Tony Carr, Dr. Joe Fallon, Caleb Parker. All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Sorry, getting confused today. Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts, we have Tamara Bond, Jake Fair, Christina Martin, Joan Strauss, Carlton Safa, Barrett Ballou, Emily Whipple Nadeau, Jules Compuris, and Tony Franklin. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Was there a motion? Second, all in favor? Meeting adjourned.